Hey, it's Ben from the Strength Factory, and today I'm talking foam rolling and how you can use this to make you faster at this. You'll often hear people like me on the internet saying, oh yeah, you can do some foam rolling. I've talked about it on podcasts and stuff like that. And you hear athletes talking about it as well. But actually, when I had a look on YouTube, I couldn't find a single decent, useful video for mountain bikers that's going to tell you how to actually use one to improve your training, your mobility, and ultimately your riding. So hopefully, this is going to do that for you. So there are two main rolls that we can use with the foam roller. See what I did there? The first one is more of a general recovery use for it, where we're trying to just recover from training, trying to feel better, especially when you're sore. And then the second thing is more of a targeted approach, where we're working on specific areas and muscles, generally to improve the way you move, your mobility and things like that. So those are the two areas we're going to cover, and we're going to start now with recovery. You've done some riding, you've done some training, and you're back home now. Generally, this is a great thing to do in the evening when you've had a bath or a shower or something. You're nice and warm, you're nice and chilled. Now is time to get in the foam roller to do some general recovery work. And what we're looking for here is sort of long strokes working your way along the muscle, okay, where the idea is to really help flush it out and to improve blood circulation. And that's what this is all about, increasing the circulation to the muscles, because that is then going to help to get the recovery process started. It's going to help you to feel better the next day, as well as helping to reduce soreness. So when we're doing this more general approach to foam rolling, focused on recovery, think about doing like long strokes, okay, where you've got the pressure is basically working towards the middle of the body. So for instance, when I work the calf, I start here and I put some pressure on the roller and I work away. So the roller is effectively pushing up to the middle of the body. And that's encouraging that drainage effectively, as well as encouraging the increased blood flow and circulation. So I put some pressure and I roll up here, and then I go light and go again. Same deal on the quads, on the hamstrings, wherever you work, okay? Just really focus on the pressure being up towards the middle of the body. Now, when we do this, as I said earlier, let's try and be nice and chilled, nice and relaxed, and warm is a really good way to do this, because you're going to do it at home at the end of the day is normally the best time to do it. And so also think about, you often see people foam rolling and they're like this, they're like, and if your face is all bound up and your shoulders are all tight, then guess what? Your muscles aren't going to relax, okay, and get the most out of it. So, let's be all zen, nice and chilled, light a candle, okay, and work through it. We want it to be uncomfortable, but not painful, and that is the key. So remember, recovery-based foam rolling, best done in a nice, warm, relaxed environment at the end of the day or after some training. And the goal is to promote blood flow and drainage to effectively reduce soreness, improve and speed up recovery so you can ride and train again better. The second thing that we're going to use the roller for is more specific and targeted, and that is to basically make a change in a muscle and in the muscle tissue in a certain area that's then going to give you a positive effect, usually on improving your mobility. And at this point, I should make it really clear that foam rolling on its own is not going to make lasting differences to your mobility, your flexibility. What it will do is make short-term changes to your mobility and flexibility that will, number one, allow you to train and move better so you can get more value from your training, as well as feel better, for instance, if you're then going riding or something like that. So foam rolling doesn't improve mobility in the long term, but it can help you then to train better. And then if you layer it with some mobility training as well, that's when we get the real magic. That's when we can make long-term differences to your mobility and flexibility. So let's talk then, first of all, let's use myself as an example, because for me, the place where I use a foam roller the most is these, yeah? It's the quads, okay? Where if I'm doing lots of training, lots of riding, I just get a lot of muscle tension in the quads, and then it just sort of pulls on my knees a little bit, and I can just feel everything gets a bit bound up, and that's where I reach for the roller. So rather than the longer strokes of the recovery session, I'm gonna look for like a tight spot, okay? So I'm gonna get myself here on the inside of the quad. I'm looking around, and so right there, that's not great. That doesn't feel the best. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rock on that with a bit of pressure. I want it to be uncomfortable, but not super painful. Try and keep my face nice and relaxed. And obviously you control how much weight is on it. I can lift up this back leg and lean into it and really punish it, or I can keep the back leg on the floor and it's just the weight of this leg. Just find what works for you. And I'm gently rocking on that spot, and then we can go the other way and the roller stays still. I roll my leg over the roller. And all this is, it's a form of self-massage. You know, it's a lot cheaper than going to see a massage therapist, who would do a better job than this, by the way. But it's a form of self-massage. And then the last bit, so I've rolled that way, I've then rocked over it that way. Then the last bit, if you want, is then just cycle the muscle over it. And by bending my leg there, I'm pulling my quad muscle over the knobbles on this, and it really helps just to free everything up a bit. Now, part of what's happening here is, yes, it's making a local difference to how the layers slide over each other in the muscle, but it's also sort of desensitizing it as well over time. And what that then does is it means we can reduce the muscle tone, like the amount of tension that's held in the muscle, so that everything's just a bit more chilled out. So now I've just rolled that. The real magic happens now when we layer the rolling with some stretching or mobility. So I've rolled it, I've worked on this area here that felt all tight and a bit stiff and uncomfortable. And now I'm gonna get this big quad stretch here. So I pull that into my bum, squeeze my bum forward, and now I'm gonna get more out of this movement. I'm just gonna hold it there for 20 or 30 seconds. And at this point now, my leg's gonna feel really great then when I start going into the warm up and start training. And now my training is a higher quality, okay? And higher quality training, because I can move better, I can move more freely, I can move pain-free, means I can get better results from my training. I can be fitter, I can be stronger, I can be a better rider. And that is what this more specific approach is all about. So what I did was I found an area, I worked on that one area, so I rolled on it, I rocked over it, and then I cycled the muscle over it, and then you follow it up with a bit of mobility, and that's where the magic happens. It feels like maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 years ago, foam rolling was massive, and you'd go in the gym, there'd be people rolling for ages, and it was very much a trend, and it's kind of died off a bit now, but it doesn't mean it's not a useful tool. And that is exactly what it is. Just like when I talk about barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, or anything really, it's just a training tool, a recovery tool. And for some people, you're going to get a lot of value from it, and it's really going to help you. For other people, less so. But I would suggest it's worth trying. They're inexpensive, they're easy to get, and to me, you know, it does have a good return on minimal time. Speaking of time, I suggest that you don't want to spend more than a minute on any particular body part. Beyond that, you know, we're getting into like physio almost, or sports massage. And if you need that long to work an area out, then I'd suggest you get some professional help. If you found this video useful, then you need to sign up to MTB Momentum. It is my weekly mountain bike fitness, strength training email newsletter. And I know what you're thinking, oh, another mailing list, but I promise you, this is gonna be worth it. There's no nonsense, it's just straightforward training advice that works. As well as that, you've got special offers on training programs and with my partners. And to be honest, it's probably gonna be the best email that you get on a Tuesday. What we're gonna do now then is we're gonna go through a few specific areas and show you exactly how to foam roll a few key areas in the legs and also the upper body. And this is taking that specific approach where we're trying to make temporary improvements to mobility to enable you to move and to train better. So let's start with the calves, a common area that you'll see people foam roll. And just a little reminder, if I start like this, there's just the weight of my leg on it. That's probably not enough. If I lift up my bum now, Now I've got a bit more pressure on it, okay? Or if you're a total sadist, then you can do it like that, but that's definitely not for me. So find a level that works for you, and we're gonna take that same process that we did on the quad earlier. So I'm gonna have a little look around. I'm gonna find a kind of like almost a lumpy, oh, there's like a, gross. And I'm just gonna work that area, okay? Just gently rocking on it, rolling on it, sorry. Good, just breathe, stay nice and chill. And this is just the same as if you went to a sports massage person and they might work it with their thumb or a tool or even their elbow if they don't like you. And then I'm gonna go over it the other way. So the roller stays still. So I've rolled, and now I'm rocking over it. And then the final part is to cycle the muscle over it. So I pull the toes up and point the toes. And all I'm doing here is just pulling the muscle across the knobbles on the roller, okay? And look, that spot there feels just a bit looser, it's less sensitive. And if you tested, I'd probably have slightly better ankle mobility now. But remember, it won't last on its own. Now would then be a great time, if ankle mobility is a goal, to do some ankle mobility work, or doing this before a squat session where you need good ankle mobility. This can help to improve the quality of squat sessions so you're stronger, so you're a better rider, okay? So just keep that in your head. The why is super important. Now, let's go upstream, hamstrings, okay? Now, I'll be honest, I never roll my hamstring. It does nothing for me, it never has. I just don't seem to carry much tension there. And so that's something, you know, I'm gonna show you anyway, that same process, but I'm pretending, because I can't find any knots or lumps. But that's why I'm pragmatic. Just use it where you need to use it. And for me, I basically only do it on my quads. That's where I get the most value. That's where my time is well spent. For you, it might be your calves, your hamstrings, or your lats, and that's cool. So I'm gonna do that, and then that same thing here. And then with this one, you can sort of turn on your side, but you're not really gonna be able to cycle the muscle so much. So just roll, rock. And again, if you were then to test before and after, you'd probably be able to reach a bit further forward once the hamstrings are done. So we can also do the glutes, okay? And again, this one doesn't really do much for me, but it doesn't mean it won't work for you, okay? So it's worth trying. Now, what you wanna do is basically, so here I'm sat on my right bum cheek, okay, or glute, whatever you wanna call it. And you can see my right leg is crossed, like the way a man would generally cross his legs, with the knee out to the side. And what I wanna do here is I wanna just try and, again, find, yeah, not much going on there for me, but yeah, you find that spot where it's uncomfortable but not super painful. And now, there we go. I'm just gonna gently rock on that, breathe, relax. And then again, we can keep the roller still and work across it. Happy days. And then the movement part, we can just go down and up, okay? And by rotating the leg, that rotates the hip, and it's just gonna get the bum muscle working a bit and pulling that glute muscle over one of the knobbles on the roller. If you can't do it, then you can use your hand a bit as well, okay? And then, guess what? We're then gonna do something like a pigeon stretch or something like that to then make more lasting changes to your mobility, if that is what your goal is, if that's what you're trying to achieve. So we're gonna go now to the upper body, okay, and in particular the upper back and the lats. So the first one here then is actually we're gonna go to the upper back, and this one is a bit different because normally everything I've showed you so far is actually muscles, whereas here we can use it to improve your upper back mobility. Lean back over it, and actually that felt lovely. I've got a nice little pop, which you probably couldn't hear. That's kind of a bit different to what I've been talking about. So it's same but different, where we're still using it, but it's actually using it more as like a fulcrum to like lean back over to open up your posture if you've been sitting a lot. So we'll move on from that though, and let's look at the lats. Your lats are basically, if you see like a real hench guy, they're a bit triangular shape. That's their massive lat muscles, which is their back. And it kind of comes around here in the armpit. And even if you're not massive, they can still get quite tight. And that is one of the things that gets tight and really restricts riders in this overhead position, which is super common with riders that I coach over the years. So let's see if we can make some improvements to it. So here, oh, straight away I'm right on a, oh, that's a bit gross. There we go. I think I said earlier I just use the roller on my quads, but I think I need to use it on my lats as well. So here we go. I'm basically, there's the side of my ribs. I'm just kind of on the corner where my back meets my ribs, if you like, there. And I've just got a nice, knotty, uncomfortable bit. And again, if I want to put more weight on it, I'd lift up the hips, but that's too intense. I'm gonna breathe, I'm gonna relax. And then I'm gonna go the other way. So the roller stays still and I'm just gonna go over it, this way. And then nice and steady. Oh, that's pretty uncomfortable. Just take your time. But each rep, it should get a little bit nicer. There we go. Okay, and so what we would then do, remember, let's obviously do the other side as well, is we could then do something like hang from a bar or do a preacher stretch or something like that, that then works with it to open up that upper back position, to make long-term changes to mobility, because remember that on its own will not make long-term changes to mobility, and to improve the quality of your training session. So that's foam rolling for mountain biking. We can use it to recover, okay, where it's long, smooth strokes towards the middle of the body, where we're promoting blood flow, or we can use it in targeted areas to make short-term improvements to your mobility that are going to help you to train better, and then you can layer it with mobility and strength work to make long-term changes to your mobility, to ultimately be fitter, to be stronger, and to be a better mountain biker. Happy days. Oh, that's gross. If you're enjoying this, if you're enjoying my pain, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, all right? Cheers.